So if you really think about it, getting consistent isn't as hard as we think it is. You see, we overcomplicate consistency, right? We overthink it, we overanalyze it way too much. But in reality, becoming consistent is easier than what we think. We just have to get rid of the outcome. And instead of outcome based thinking, we change that into input based thinking and turn it into small wins, right? Now, do you get burnt out when you drink water, right? But you drink water every single day. You consistently do things that you don't realize every single day, right? It starts off brushing your teeth. That's a win, right? Getting out of bed, making your bed, that's a win. Drinking water, that's a win. Going on a walk first thing in the morning, that's a win. Meditating, that's a win. Praying, that's a win. Like, it starts off so small, right? And this is what I learned, right? This is what I just recently learned. Everything that I share with you guys is something that I've just learned or something that I learned. And I'm young. I'm 19 years old, still figuring out life, still learning, right? I'm always stay learning. Like, the moment you stop learning is the moment you lose. So one thing I learned this week about consistency is you are already consistent. 9 times out of 10, you're already consistent. The thing that you might be consistent with is bad habits, right? So imagine you apply the same consistency you have with your bad habits to your good habits. So what a bad habit might look like is you doom scrolling for 4 hours, right? You're doing it consistently, subconsciously. You're not really paying attention, but you're doing it. So what if you got rid of that and substitute that with something else, right? Instead of um, doom scrolling, what if you read a book, right? What if you meditated? What if you read watched a podcast and took notes on the podcast on the things that you learned, right? So that's something that, like, I'm just now applying, but it's so deep that, like, you do something and you change the bad habit because we're already consistent. We just make up excuses on why we can't become consistent, right? We'll say, I just don't have time. But you have 5 hours of screen time. What do you mean you don't have time, right? This is something I didn't realize, bro. It's like you have time for the things that you want to do, but you have to destroy that flesh, right? I recently went on a quick 3-day fast, right? I didn't fast how I was supposed to. I was supposed to do a faith-driven fast where I get more connected with God. I'm gonna do that another time pretty soon. But I kind of did a selfish fast. I did what they call the American fast, right? And that's just you tell a couple people, and in the Bible it doesn't say you're supposed to tell people. You're supposed to not tell anybody, right? So that's why I say the fast I did was an American fast. But anyways, the the fast helps destroy your flesh, right? So the deeper desire, right? What is some deep desires that you want, right? One desire that we always crave is food, right? Food, in fact, is an addiction, right? Most people really think you can't go a week without food. They don't think you can go weeks without food, but in reality, you can go several weeks, maybe even a couple months without food, right? We don't know, we didn't understand it. We don't understand this because we're like, yo, how can you survive without food? But I promise you, after 3 days of no food, like, you're not even hungry no more. You get what I'm saying? But it's all a desire thing, right? So what I mean by this is you have to destroy the flesh. And when I say destroy the flesh, I mean destroy the pleasures, destroy what your mind wants most, right? Of course, your mind's going to want the quick dopamines. Your mind's going to want this, that, and the third. Whatever feels good in the moment, your mind craves, right? And this is the one thing that's been holding me back for so much because my mind would tell me, yo, watching a 30-minute video on self-improvement, watching a 30-minute podcast on success is productive, right? But what's actually more productive is actually getting the hands-on experience, the actual recording the video, the actual, ideation of you thinking of ideas to record, right? This was just a random thought. And I just said, yo, you know what? I'm gonna get on here and talk, right? And this is something that I feel like in your journey as an entrepreneur or whatever it is that you do, you have to be able to apply this, right? You have to be able to tell your mind, yo, we no longer going for the quick shit. We're gonna go for something that's long term, something that's gonna benefit us in the long term. What does that look like? What does that look like? That might be reading 10 pages a day. That might be meditating for 20 minutes a day. Something that actually fucking sucks in the moment, but over time, once it compounds, you have a bigger ROI, right? Return on investment, right? It's an investment. Everything that you're doing right now, you're either trading with your time or you're trading with money, right? These are two things that we have to figure out how to work them, right? You either got time or you got money, right? If you got time, focus on something that's going to create you money. If you got money, focus on something that's going to buy you back some time, right? And this is something that we don't realize. Sorry, I'm really using this car as a sauna, so I'm sweating my ass off in this car. But uh find something that's going to give you a ROI, right? This could look like taking walks, going on runs, going to the gym. I promise you, going to the gym, right, is the life cheat code, right? Especially if you go first thing in the morning. The reason why I say that is when you go to the gym and then you do that hard thing, the rest of the day is so much smoother, bro. It's light compared to everything else, especially if you do like a harder, more intense workout, bro. The rest of the day is so much simple, right? And even doing cold plunges or whatever the case may be, if you just do that, if you just wake up 30 more minutes earlier than you usually do, go to bed 30 minutes earlier, whatever the case may be, you will find that actually helps so freaking much. I promise you. The moment I started doing that, I noticed a difference in how I felt, right? Now, I'm not even gonna lie. I haven't been the most consistent with that, but I'm telling you, when you do it, you ain't gonna want to stop, right? So I'm going to actually start getting back into it because I don't want to tell you guys to do things that I'm not doing actively. So I'm gonna actually do it. Um, and another thing that I want you guys to understand is whatever situation you're in right now, right? Whether you're going through it, you hate your job, you don't know what to do next, you're absolutely stuck, you feel stuck, you feel like everybody else is just running circles around you. um the thing that you need to understand is that is just temporary, right? The thing that you need to actually do is begin to move, right? Right now you're still, you're stagnant, you're watching other people do whatever they're doing and you're not beginning to walk, right? This was a point where I was at, right? But now I'm starting to get consistent, right? And then you build up momentum, and then you build obsession, and then after obsession, you fall in love, and then you start seeing all these results, right? People start looking at you different. You start feeling different. You start walking, talking different. I ain't even gonna lie, right? But that's when you get past that obsession part. Right now, I feel myself getting back into that obsession part, right? Because I promise you, especially if you're a creative like me, if you're anything like me and you're a creative, you will have a different spark and people will notice it. You'll randomly be at the gym and people, damn, bro, You look way more happier than I normally see you, man. People actually start coming up to you, talking to you. People that you always see at the gym that you've never spoken to will come up to you and say, dang, bro, you know, they'll start making small talk with you. But it's only whenever you're in this state, bro. And I'm telling you, it's a state that you need to get to. I feel like everybody must experience that. And the only way you experience that is if you start to move, right? And you start to do whatever you said you were wanting to do, or whatever you said you would do, right? But procrastination, right, will keep you stuck, right? Procrastination is the thief of all destination, right? So wherever you want to go, right, if you just keep putting it off, I'm telling you, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen, bro. If you keep saying, yeah, maybe tomorrow, maybe next day, that day never comes, right? And this is something that I didn't realize until I seen time pass me by, and I'm like, yo, the fuck, I made no progress, right? Of course, you're not gonna make progress if you're not actually taking the steps toward progress, right? And what does the steps toward progress look like, bro? It looks so small. It looks so small. I feel like the reason why most people stay stuck is because they overcomplicate it, right? They think too much about it instead of just taking the small steps towards it, right? And the small steps could be planning your first video, right? It could be applying for that first job, right? That entry level job. It could be so small, bro. But you can't overcomplicate it, because that leads to more procrastination. You're thinking about it too freaking much. Instead, you need to be taking the steps towards it, right? And another thing that I want to talk about is fear, right? This is the one thing that really controls a lot of us, right? For some reason, fear is just so fucking contagious, right? You start thinking of the worst, right? You start actually taking the action, right? When you begin, fear is like, bro, it's tougher, like it's 10 times tougher. But once you start taking action, you get consistent, then fear, it gets, you know, slimmer, and then eventually it starts to be super light. You barely get fear. But in the beginning, fear is just so it's inevitable. Like, you see it everywhere. Like, you're constantly overthinking. You're thinking of, is this gonna work? You're scared of taking that risk. You're scared of making that call. You're scared of this, that, and the third. But once you begin playing the game, once you begin doing the thing you need to do, I promise you, you realize all that fear, all that shit that you was thinking is not going to happen, right? Most of the time, that shit that's in your mind, right? That fear that's in your mind, 9 times out of 10, is not going to actually happen. You're just thinking of the worst possible outcome. And that stops you from taking the action, from staying consistent. You feel me? And once you can just say, yo, bro, I'm gonna just push through that shit, you'll realize how easy it actually is. And once you realize how easy it is, it's going to overall build that momentum. And that momentum is gonna compound. And then you're gonna see a little bit of tensies results. You're not gonna see nothing crazy 9 times out of 10. You'll see a little bit of result. And then once you see that result, that's when you start getting obsessed, right? And that takes time, right? The obsession takes time. It could take you a month. It could take you 6 months. It could take you a year. It could take you 2 years, right? But overall, it's just pushing until you get obsessed. And when you get obsessed, that's when you see the wins, right? They might be small wins. They might be massive wins. Who knows? You might blow up overnight. But overall, that's what you got to get to, right? So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, me yapping. And if you guys enjoy my content, make sure you guys hit that like, hit that sub button, turn that notification bell for more videos. I do have more spin a day videos coming soon. So I hope if you guys love my spin a day videos, you check it out, rock with it, you feel me? If not, cool. But J Quad out.